We are back. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. If you're just joining us, we just played the third tower, the third skyscraper chapter out of Fabled Enemies and went over the latest news about Building 7. Let's read the quote, and then we're going to go back to Joe in New Jersey. This is from Jeffrey Scott Shapiro. Shortly before the building collapsed, several NYPD officers and Con Edison workers told me that Larry Silverstein, the property developer of One World Financial Center, was on the phone with his insurance carrier to see if they would authorize the controlled demolition of the building, since its foundation was already unstable and expected to fail. And the foundation was fine. We just showed you the inside of the building from the south face in the video. Joe, what's your take?
The first thing I'd like to ask you is just a straight-out question. Were the Enron records vaulted in 7?
Yes. But they're not the only ones. The SEC records were also there as well. The major SEC scandal records were there. The Enron records were there. And then so much more. In that Fabled Enemies piece, I show you the mainstream news piece where they admit there was a bunch of classified documents that they had to not only get but protect. So they brought the FBI in to encompass the surrounding of what was the building. And then they sent in special FBI agents to go in there while CIA and other special forces watched them from the tops of other buildings to ensure that they didn't carry out classified material without going through the intelligence networks first. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, great. Just a sidebar real quick. The FBI just seized a whole bunch of Enron records from Goldman Sachs. I don't know if you know that or not.
And is that in part of this civil trial, or are they saying that that's something separate?
When
okay.
We raided the offices at Goldman Sachs and pulled Enron records.
Interesting.
I want you to back check that too. The other thing I need you to back check too is also, or if you can investigate into it, was supposedly that was the orchestrating perch for the Tower 1, Tower 2.
You know, I don't believe that, and let me tell you why. A lot of people say that, oh, they must have used that as their command center. But then you listen to Barry Jennings' testimony, and he was in the Office of Emergency Management, which was the 23rd floor, which is where the OEM was. Now, on other floors, you did have Department of Defense, you did have CIA, but they blew up the inside of that building. That's where those fires came from. It didn't come from the towers falling down. It was from those internal explosions. So I don't think it was the command center, because they actually had, first of all, they had Tripod 2 going on there. And in the OEM, they were running this drill, and Giuliani was in Building 7 on the morning of 9/11. He admitted it. And that's where they evacuated from. And if you listen to Jennings' testimony, he says when he got there, it was after the first plane strike, but before the second, they still had hot coffee and ham sandwiches that were half-eaten all over the place, which means that they made a very quick evacuation. And then they shut the power off in the building. Now, I don't know how you're going to orchestrate the rest of 9/11, a.k.a. the demolitions of 1 and 2, after you've already flown the buildings in from 7 with the power out. And why put yourself in jeopardy there? There's so many other surrounding buildings. The Woolworth building is one. I think that's part of a disinfo campaign. Just because the CIA was there doesn't mean the CIA wasn't in other parts of that structure. Remember, that's Building 7. There was Building 6. There was Building 5. Those received heavy damage. There was buildings outside of the array of the World Trade Center, which were just as close and probably better to use as an operational center. But the bottom line is, Joe, it doesn't look like any of that's the truth. The evidence leads me to believe that these attacks were probably carried out from the Doomsday Command Center planes known as E-4Bs. Now, are you aware of the E-4Bs on the morning of 9/11, Joe?
Yes, I was there, and I was at Exit 15. I'm the guy that was supposed to send you all those pictures that I was really nervous to send them to you. I was there on the property. Yeah.
Well, you should send them, man. Look, the way to go is to go as public as you can. You don't want to end up being one of these guys that had information and didn't put it out there. And for those that don't know what these E-4Bs are, and I appreciate the call, Joe, these are literal command centers for shadow government and DOD entities within the government. And they're running drills that morning where they just happen to be on the scene of all the attacks. What do you know? Doomsday operational centers for the shadow government are on the scenes of the 9/11 attacks as they occur. We're going to go to Mike, Craig, Scott, Glenn, and many others on the other side. It's 888-201-2244. Back after this. It's the InfoWarrior. This one's fresh out of the Financial Times. U.S. prepares to push for global capital rules. The U.S. is preparing to pivot from domestic regulatory reform. Domestic, within your own country, sovereign nation status for the American people, for a tough new international, globalist, New World Order capital regime after the weekend's G20 and International Monetary Fund meetings glossed over differences between leading economies. Oh, more G20, more globalization, a move towards international regulation and reform. And as we highlight in Invisible Empire, a new world order defined on shelves now over at YouTube now, at the highest quality, at prisonplanet.tv. Now, we show you Gordon Brown calling for a global financial constitution. We show you the head of the European Union, Van Rompuy, saying 2009 was the first year of global governance with the Copenhagen Conference and the G20. It is out of their own mouths, folks. All right, let's continue with the callers. Mike in Texas. Mike, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
Hey, man,
We got
I
Mike.
wanted to say, I have a request for you about your Visible Empire. Yes, sir?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here.
You there?
Yeah, listening.
Hey, if you guys can, man, when you make expanded extras, can you make just a thing of just nothing but the New World Order clips where you got the guys talking about a New World Order, a New World Order? When you make that expanded extras, just make like I don't know how long it'd be, like a 5 or 10 minute video.
I'd be more than that. I didn't put in about at least half of the clips that I had. I just couldn't fit them all in. And that's why we did that little thing at the end. But we've already done the extras on the DVD. Unless I do a director's cut or something like that, that's just not going to be possible. On the extras on the DVD is my experience over at the G20, little 8 to 10 minute wrap up over there. And then an extended interview with Peter Dale Scott concerning the continuity of government and shadow government issues, which is a little over 12 minutes. And you can get that over at prisonplanet.tv. But some people, Mike, have told me that they don't like the fact that I used all the New World Order clips. They're like, oh, it's just New World Order clips. But other people are very enthusiastic with the fact that I used a ton of New World Order clips that weren't on the web before to really establish the fact that the people calling for a New World Order aren't just George Bush Sr. and David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger, but all these other people like James Woolsey, the former head of the CIA, the current head of Google, Hans Blix is in there, even Bill Moyers is in there, Cornel West is in there, Michael Mullen, Paul Wolfowitz, David Cameron, and many others. I mean, what was your take? What was your favorite part of Invisible Empire? Was it the New World Order quotes, Mike? We still got Mike, or is he totally
Absolutely,
gone?
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm sitting here on the street, no, I'm here.
Yeah,
when
I'm
I'm out here on the street talking to the mouth-breathing fluoride heads,
Mm-hmm.
you say, man, you know what? There's a New World Order, and they're like, nah, man, there's no New World Order. And those clips are so powerful. Like, I mean, I could go out there and make a little tiny YouTube video of those clips, but I mean, you guys are professional. You guys got all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all could just put together like a 5 to 10 minute of nothing but New World Order clips, I guarantee you that right there would be so powerful, because I could just hand you my iPhone with it and be like, look, you tell me there's New World Order, and sit there for 5 minutes of New World Order, New World Order.
All right, Mike, listen, I'll keep it under consideration, and maybe over the next month while I'm still here in Texas, I'll put together a little YouTube clip extra from Invisible Empire. No promises, but I'll definitely keep it under consideration. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Craig in Philadelphia. Craig, you're on the line. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Berman, can you hear me well? Should I
Yes,
turn up
sir.
the volume?
No, you're
Or
good. You're good.
Okay, first-time caller, many-year listener, loved Fabled Enemies. Encantado with Invisible Empire, and it seems like you're the point man for InfoWars. Congrats.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Okay, number one, make a copy of your video, hand it out to people. Give us a cover to print.
Okay.
I suggested this a couple times. Compliments of Alex Jones, compliments of Jason Bermas, and compliments of an AJ member.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we need a cover up there that you guys can print to go with the DVD. Any other requests?
And a round one would be good.
A round one. Okay, so you're saying one for the one that you could actually, the DVD label is what you're looking for.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
I've been trying to get them, but I got to make them. Okay, number two. The pause in Bush's reading about goats, out of sequence. I read in the Washington Post or one of those papers the day after 9/11 that there was an airliner that there's a bunch of Arab-looking people that were going, we have to go now. and they sent the plane back to the terminal, and it threw everything out of sequence. I believe that plane, I think the first plane supposed to hit Washington and the Capitol building, and then they could say what we did. Oh, we lost our command and control, martial law, we go to New York. But the planes went out of sequence, which is why Bush had to read about goats, because he didn't know what to do. He's not good without a script, and Murphy's Law helped us.
Well, you know, it's under my study that I don't think that Bush had anything to do with the planning or even really knew what was going on, other than the fact that there was maybe some talk of some war games going on that day, and he had kind of a roundabout view.